Welcome to Brothers from Hell Mondays. Well, technically it's Tuesday,
Tuesday.
but either or. Welcome to Brothers from Hell Tuesday, and boy, do we got a classic album in store for you today.
Yes. Yes, we do. Definitely.
Yes, we are going to be reviewing Eliminator by ZZ Top.
Yeah, man. Really stoked for this one. This album fucking came out in 83. I got the original tape here. Released in 83 on Warner Brothers. And Ben, I'm really excited for this review tonight because as you guys all know, we lost Dusty Hill back in 2021. So I personally feel like tonight we're honoring this legend. Rightfully so, Ben. Now, Eliminator was also produced by Bill Ham. So, Ben, you want to give us the lineup on this one?
Well, we got Billy Gibbons on guitar and vocals, the late great Dusty Hill on bass, and he does some lead vocals too. And we got Frank Beard on the drums.
Yes, we also have Laner Gregg on keyboards on this record as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Very true. And I believe. Okay. Oh, yeah, we got Jimmy Jamison backing vocals from the band Survivor.
Interesting.
On this album.
Yeah. You know what's weird? I don't know if he's in the linear credits here because I've read this inlay, this J card back to front, and it's weird that I don't see him mentioned in here at all, which is kind of strange. So
yeah, I didn't see his name in the CD either, which is kind of weird,
Yeah, maybe he was credited. Maybe he was credited later. Do you think?
Could be a possibility too. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
that's
he was
very
credited
true too. But yeah, I mean, we got 11 tracks, clocking in at a little over 45 minutes. Yep. Came out on March 23rd of 1983, so in 2 days. Well, the album turns 40 years old, and rightfully so. What a good night to review this album.
Yeah. Perfect timing.
And this album was very huge for the band. It's their biggest selling album to this day still.
Yeah, ninth studio album.
Yes,
ninth studio album, too.
Correct. Huge staple on MTV back in the early days of MTV. In fact, Billy Gibbons was really influenced by, MTV and the music videos.
For sure.
For this album,
Yep.
Musically, the album's a little different. They are adding in some of those 80 influences, which some people tend to complain about, but I don't think it ruins the album one bit.
No. One of the things I noticed about this album, too, is it's got like a dark edge to it. It's the perfect album for you to fucking get in the car and just drive all night. It's a very fucking amazing album that just suits night cruising is what I feel from this. The very rebellious spirit of an album, very rebellious spirited, and just for even bikers, this has that biker culture to it too, man. Because I know a lot of bikers love ZZ Top, and all the members have like the two guys have like Frank or Dusty and Billy have like the long beard, and yeah, just absolutely fucking amazing. So that's what I get.
I absolutely agree, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll get right into the tracks as we speak.
Yep.
A lot of big tracks on this record too. Give Me All Your Lovin' to begin the album.
Yes.
What a great classic song this is too. This was a huge song back in the day.
Yeah, and it really takes me back. I mean, you got some incredible blues rock with some amazing drum work. Great licks here from Billy Gibbons and Dusty Hill, and of course Frank Beard. He had such an immaculate sense of where to put these amazing rock beats. Yes. You also have some great keyboard work here from Laner Gregg as well, and just a great opener. The guitar work, very bluesy and eloquent, and it really blew my mind when I first heard this. And Ben, I know you grew up with this album. I want to hear your thoughts on this track too, man.
Well, I mean, it's got that dirty Texan boogie bluesy sound to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a great way to open this record. Yeah, you get those dirty guitar rips by Billy Gibbons. Excellent vocal work too.
Yes.
Interesting drumming by Frank Beard on this track. I think it's a really good way to begin this album. You know,
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, this is probably maybe the third ZZ Top song I ever heard. Maybe it's really hard to remember that far back.
Yeah. It
But
is for me
all in
too.
all, it's a song too. Yeah, it's been played on classic rock radio. It still gets played on classic rock radio, at
Yep.
least in my area. And I
Yep.
never get sick of it. When it comes on, I'll
No.
listen to it. If
Yes, me
I
too.
happen to have radio on, which I normally don't, but if I'm ever in a situation where there is a radio playing and I hear it, I'll listen to it.
You gotta crank it up, man. Crank it up.
Heck yeah,
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
man. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So it's pretty much all I got to say about the opening track. It's just a great track.
It is.
The next
Well,
track too is another big track for the band. Got Me Under
yeah.
Pressure.
Yeah. I mean, one of the best things about this for me is it's a bit of a faster track. You got some incredible guitar work here from Billy Gibbons and some great bass licks coming through the blues driven tempos. The drums on this are that classic four on the floor classic beat with such a powerful electric energy, Ben. Like, just absolutely awesome.
I would agree. I mean, again, this is another, it's another track that's classic for a reason.
Yeah.
Again, you get those dirty Southern rips by Billy Gibson. You even get
Yes.
you get a little slice of heavy metal in this too,
You do.
like early heavy metal.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the cool things is it's got some of my favorite riffs from Billy as well. And it's so memorable. I mean, every track on this album
Yes,
is memorable because when I put this
I,
on, I feel like I'm 7 years old all over again.
that's kind of how I feel too. It definitely transports me back to the '80s,
Yeah.
back to the early days of MTV, when MTV was about playing music. So it
Yeah.
definitely takes me back to a better time, when it comes to that. But
Definitely.
man, yeah, it's a classic track for a reason. It's a great live staple for this band to this day. You know,
Definitely. I feel the same way, man.
so
Definitely
yeah,
feel the same way.
just an
And just
excellent, excellent song.
Yeah, I mean the songwriting is immaculate all over this album, and it can't be understated at all. And I mean, I know they have a lot of really other great albums, but this one always stood out to me.
Yes, definitely.
And I think it's one of their harder edged albums because some of their other work is very bluesy. They still have the rock elements, but a lot of their other stuff is very bluesy and big top sounding. You know what I mean? Like that big sound and stuff like that big band sound. And this one has to me like a harder rock edge, and that's what I really love about this record too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I get out of this record too. It definitely has more of a hard rocking edge to it. Where their
Yeah.
earlier stuff did have more of that bluesy, that dirty blues type of sound.
Yep,
So then we
definitely.
go to track three, another huge song on this record, and this was the very first ZZ Top song I ever heard. I'm
Me
talking
too.
about how
Sharp
ironic.
dressed man. Yeah. Man,
Yes,
and this is iconic. One of the most iconic tracks from a rock band, especially ZZ Top. I mean, I don't know what it is. It has a driving bluesy bass line, very organic production. Sounds so perfect to me, Ben.
I agree. Just that rip, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
it's so iconic.
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
rip, that rip just gets stuck in your head when you hear
yeah.
it.
And what's really cool about this one is the bass line on this is really up in the mix on this track too, and it,
Yes,
it just
very
gives it
agree.
a more of a heavier feel, in my opinion.
Right,
Very
I
very
would
bluesy
agree.
driven bass line. And it's to me, it's like it creates that perfect driving and cruising at night in an old classic car with the top down blasting the album. That's what I feel from this track a lot.
I would agree. Yes, it's kind of weird too. When I think of a song like this too, I think of strip clubs. easily, I think, at strip clubs.
Well, because it's all about dressing up and going out to the bar, right? I mean,
Pretty much, yeah. Or just going to a
go,
dive bar,
yeah,
That's kind of the
bar, yeah,
atmosphere I get. Actually, with these
yeah,
first three tracks, I get that atmosphere.
yeah.
We're
That's
kind of like
actually pretty cool.
we're actually, like you said, just driving around on a nice summer night with the
Yeah.
windows down and just blaring this music out of your
Well,
vehicle.
that's very perfect for that, man. Very perfect for that.
That's absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, very iconic track. It's weird how I first heard this song too was on NWA Wrestling way back in the 80s.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because it was one of the themes for for I can't remember the wrestler's name, but yeah, it was one of the theme songs.
Yeah, and I
Oh
believe
fuck,
it was
I know.
jamming. I believe it was jamming Jimmy Garvin that used to come to the
You know
ring to
what?
that track.
I fucking think you're right about that because I remember NWA wrestling too.
Oh yeah, I used to watch that all the time as a kid.
Oh, dude, and you know the great thing about that time period was that back then the wrestling promotions weren't as big, right? Like they weren't huge like they are today. Yeah, WWF was up and coming, and of course WCW, but those smaller individual promotions, they were allowed to use the music. Like they didn't get
Yeah.
copyright bullshit. Yeah, they had to get permission, but it was a lot easier back then.
Yes. Yep.
You know, and
That's
Warner
very
Brothers
true.
Music are some of the worst for copyright claims on videos. Like I don't, I mean, when I add music to this later, when I edit it and put it up on my channel, I'm gonna have to get live stuff because I don't think Warner Brothers will let me put any tracks from this album under our voices. So I'm gonna have to see how that plays out.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
true
this is
too.
just a brilliant masterpiece of blues rock beauty. And I don't know if the band ever wrote a better album. I mean, I know a lot of people like a lot of their other stuff, but for me, this is the perfect album for that midnight drive when you're contemplating a lot of deep emotions, in my
Yes.
opinion. I mean, it's got that rebellious spirit, one of the best ZZ Top tracks. Yeah, and this was actually one of the first tracks I ever heard from them as well was Sharp Dressed Man. So,
Yes, definitely. Excellent track.
yeah.
Even if it is played to death, it's still damn good.
Doesn't matter. Never gets old.
Exactly.
No.
All right, number 4. More of a deep cut on this album. Probably this might be my favorite on the album.
Yeah,
I
me
Need You
too.
Tonight.
Oh yeah.
Wow, what an excellent track this is.
Oh, 6 minutes of just Billy Gibbons' best guitar work. You have so many incredible licks. There's some great, immaculately crafted blues rock leads. Masterpiece, in my opinion, of that blues rock beauty. And like I said, that perfect track for driving at night when you're just maybe feeling down, maybe something's not going right. This track's all about love and being
Yes.
very, very deeply in love with somebody. And I think it's a very, very perfect song for that contemplation and stuff like that. So yeah, I never ever skip this track. In fact, when I listen to Eliminator, it's the first track that I open with. So
Right. Yes. Really, really emotional guitar playing on this track too by
oh
Billy
yeah,
Gibson or Gibbons. Just
yeah,
absolutely really nice stuff going on in this track. You can feel the emotion in the guitar playing easily.
yeah,
You know,
man.
I like what Dusty's doing with the bass. The drums just have that bluesy, melodic type of flair going on.
Yeah,
It's just great.
yeah, it is. And
Bit
the
of a darker,
production,
yeah, little bit of a darker song too, but
it
it's
is.
good.
Yeah. And I like the production on the album because they didn't change from song to song. They had like the same production and the mixing is perfect. I love the way the bass and the drums can be heard really well, and the guitar doesn't overshadow anything. One thing that I really like about older albums is that the bass is more prominent, right? Because
Exactly.
you have that analog recording that they used back then, and I know a lot of underground metal bands still do analog. But when you're using reel to reel, there's a certain warmth to the sounds of the instruments that is lost when you use digital production.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
analog
mean,
just makes a huge difference.
I would fucking kill to hear this on vinyl. That would be just amazing to hear this album on vinyl, in my opinion. I mean, the cassette is great; it's analog as well, but to hear this on vinyl would be a real treat for me.
I know I heard it on vinyl when I was a kid because my mom
Yeah.
has it on vinyl,
Oh, nice.
but it's been a long time. But yeah, it's so cool though.
It is, man.
But man, yeah, I
Definitely.
absolutely enjoy this track. So then we
Great.
got one that's a little fast paced here coming up. I got the six, and I believe this is Dusty Hill on vocals for this track.
Yes, it is actually. Yep. I really
So
this one is a bit faster in tempo. It ups the harder rock edge that this album has because by no means is this a soft rock album. No, this is a dark blues rock album, and I love the fact that ZZ Top also never sold out. They always wanted to bring their brand of blues rock to the forefront of every release, but the fact that this album was very centered around that night driving in a big city that has that attitude of never compromising or becoming what some bands in this time would eventually turn into due to more commercialized fame and stuff like that. To me, there's a very powerful attitude on this album that screams rebellion and that leather and biker attitude. I think it's a perfect album for
yes,
all that, Ben.
totally.
Great stuff.
So yeah, I got the six. Now I did get a little bit of a humor vibe in this track. There's definitely
Yeah.
some humor in this song, especially the one part of the track, and I laughed when I listened to it again. There's a line in the track where he says, "I guess I'll just go spank my monkey." so,
Yes,
I'm like,
there is.
so I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe that's where that phrase came from.
Maybe.
I don't know, but
I mean,
I don't
maybe
know. That
nobody
part,
heard a monkey spanking before this album,
that's a good
or
point.
that phrase actually, that phrase.
So yeah, this track though it's probably one of the heavier tracks on the record. Definitely one of
Hmm.
the faster tracks.
Yeah.
It definitely kind of has some of that raunchy, bluesy, heavy metal type of riffing
Yes,
going on.
it does. It really reminds me of those driving tempos that we saw in bands like Iron Maiden and stuff too. And it even has a little bit of a Motorhead vibe, in my opinion. This track.
You know what? I kind of noticed that a little bit too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can definitely
it's
feel a bit of Motorhead.
it's
Yeah.
very galloping, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it has like that gallop, which I think is
Yes,
really
that's
cool.
very
Yeah,
true.
yeah, pretty awesome stuff. Love
Really
that
good
track.
track.
Yep.
So then we move on to track six to begin the second half of the album, and definitely one of their most popular tracks.
Legs.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, hey man, I, us guys like a nice woman with a set of legs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
but,
It's
but no,
this. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead, man.
Okay, well, to me, this one is like it's another awesome harder rock track. It's got some really awesome guitar effects to start it off before it goes into the main driving gallop style riff. And I think it fits so well with this album as the band always sang about women, fast cars, and that rebellious spirit. Of course,
Yes,
this one is all about love and the disappointment of being allured by looks and no personality. That's what I get from it. Um,
yeah,
because they talk about women using their legs, knowing how to use their looks to get your attention and to get your heart for sure. So this is a pretty interesting track.
exactly. And I believe this was the second ZZ Top song I ever heard. I remember
Mine too.
seeing, yeah, I remember seeing this on MTV way back in the early days.
Yeah,
I
there's a
mean,
music video. Yep.
yep. So yeah, just a good rocking tune. To me, it never gets old.
No, definitely not. Good track.
So yeah, that's a pretty damn good track. The next track, Thug.
Yeah,
Interesting right here.
very interesting. This one kind of freaked me out when I was a kid because of that ominous intro. It's got like a really ominous intro with the guitar effects and stuff like that. It's very
Yeah,
sounding, and then it like breaks into this full-on rebellious turn with the vocals and bass, and those bass licks on this track, unbelievable. How awesome the
I would
bass licks
agree.
are on this track. It's this track's all about escaping from Alcatraz, pulling a huge job with, just another song that you want to put on and drive in the middle of the night. That's what I get from this one. Very dark, rebellious feel to this track. Some great
Right.
instrumentation. Very memorable. This is one of the standouts on the record to me too. It's a darker song than the rest of them, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's kind of weird. The beginning of this track almost reminds me of a Phil Collins song a little bit with the
A
drum
little bit.
machines.
Yes.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what's the song? Am I thinking here? In the Air Tonight. A little bit. It kind of reminds me
Yeah.
of it.
A little bit.
Beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
it
get that
definitely has
vibe.
that dark. Yeah, definitely has that
Yeah.
darker atmosphere. You get some excellent slap bass by Billy or
That's what I'm
Dusty.
talking about.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dusty Hill. Yeah, that slapping bass. And you know what's strange is I think he was one of the first to use that fucking style because I didn't hear it before ZZ Top. I never heard that slapping bass before. So I'm pretty sure he was one of the pioneers of that bass style, if I'm
that could
not
be a
mistaken.
possibility. Yeah, that could definitely be a possibility.
I
Yes.
mean, there might be some older people in the chat that could correct me on that because I am only
Right.
42, but I'm pretty fucking sure this was one of the first times we would hear that style of bass playing on this record.
That's interesting. Now that you mentioned that. Yeah, he's definitely one of the first. He's got to be.
Yeah,
I mean, but yeah, I really enjoy this track. It's definitely it's easily the darkest on the album,
it is.
and it's just got
Really enjoy it.
incredible bass playing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then we
man.
move on to now this one kind of brings the humor back a little bit.
TV
TV
dinners.
dinner.
Yeah. But you know what's cool about this one though is it's very memorable, and to me, and I don't. This is my interpretation. I feel like it's ZZ Top mocking where we were going when it comes to convenience because we all know how bad pre-processed, pre-packaged frozen food is for you, right? So what I kind of get from this is they're mocking the microwave generation. That's what I get out of this, and
Yeah,
I definitely think that's what it's about because they're talking about how great TV dinners are when we all know they're fucking terrible. Um,
exactly.
I'm not. I don't eat. I've never eaten those fucking things, man. I take very good care of myself. I have a very good diet.
Yeah, I'm a
So
I'm a little guilty. I've had TV dinners in my lifetime,
that's all
unfortunately,
right,
but
man. I mean, I'm sure we've all had them at some point. But
yeah,
what I like about it is I think ZZ Top's actually mocking that modern culture and that microwave generation on this track, which I think is fucking perfect.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good song though. Again, it kind of has a dark atmosphere to it too.
It does. It
For
does.
being
Yeah.
a for being a song that's a little humorous, you know,
Yeah.
but it's really good. This is a track too where I really like the bass playing in it too. It's just got
Yeah.
an excellent groove to it. All right, so then we
Definitely.
move on to Dirty Dogs.
Oh
Or Dirty
yeah.
Dog, I apologize.
Dirty Dog. Yeah. I think we all know what this one's about.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's self
Uh,
explanatory there.
yeah. Pretty much about a dirty whore who obviously broke his heart.
Yep,
Pretty aggressive. This is a pretty aggressive track for ZZ Top as well. I think this is another one of the standouts of the record. You got some really unique riffs on this, very unique bass lines. The drum work, of course, delivered with some pretty hard rock punishment here as well. Great vocals. I mean, Billy Gibbons and Dusty Hill's vocals on this record are pretty fucking awesome, and I love this track a lot, Ben.
me too. I think this is another excellent rocking tune. Great riffs. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm trying to think here. The riffs on this track. I mean, this track's kind of in that style of "Got Me Under Pressure." It's got that hard
yes, it
rocking
is.
track to it,
Yeah,
but just really good stuff. You know, and I could be wrong, but I think this track might have been a minor hit off this record.
yeah,
I know TV Dinners was,
yeah.
but it wasn't as huge as the other tracks, which I don't know why. I still think it's a good song, but
Yeah,
Dirty Dogs is definitely an excellent rocker.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Yeah,
So then
and
we
then
go.
next. Oh, sorry. Go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, we got If I Could Only Flag Her Down, and this one very bluesy. This is a
Oh
very
yeah,
bluesy jazz fusion rock track. I mean, you got those great fucking bass licks coming through again from Dusty Hill and Billy Gibbons, but this is a very up tempo, upbeat track. Very blues, very jazz driven with the beats and the guitar work, and you got some immaculately timed riff structures that made the band's songwriting so fucking incredible. I think this is another awesome track, Ben.
yeah. This track now, if you want a track on the album that harkens back to the '70s ZZ Top sound, I would definitely say
It is.
definitely the track. It's got
Yeah,
that '70s feel to it.
does definitely.
Even like in the production sound, it has like that '70s sound
Yeah,
on this track. But yeah, I think
definitely.
this is definitely an underrated track. It's a really good deep cut on here.
It is.
It's got some good dirty Billy Gibson guitar rips going on, man.
Oh,
That Texas
yeah,
dirty bluesy style going on.
yeah,
Yeah, really good stuff here. You know,
definitely, man. Very
it's pretty.
standout track too, like because it kind of it's kind of like a surprise because the rest of the album is pretty hard rock blues, but this one is like blues and jazz with a rock edge to it. So it kind of comes out of nowhere, but I think it really spices up the record and adds some uniqueness to it for sure.
I definitely agree.
Pretty good stuff.
So I guess we're on to the last track here, "Bad Girl."
Another one that's very bluesy and 70s sounding, in my opinion.
Yes,
I
and
think
this
this is a great way to close out the. Sorry, Ben. I think it's a great
that's
way to
fine.
close the album. You got an awesome blues rock feel to this one. Lots of jazz influence on this one again. Really amazing songs on this record. They all stand out from one another. And front to back, to me, this is an absolute blues rock classic that any fan should already have. If you're a fan of hard rock, blues, and jazz, why don't you already have this? Because you get the best of all three on this. There are jazz elements on some of the other parts of the album too, but I think it's fucking great. What a great way to close the album.
I definitely agree. This is definitely another high energy rocking tune. You know, just about a bad girl, man.
Yep.
I mean,
Pretty
self-explanatory,
straightforward.
really.
Pretty
Yep,
straightforward. Yeah.
yep,
They weren't the kind of
straightforward.
band to have. They weren't the kind of band that were esoteric. They always were straightforward with their message and the meaning and the emotions behind their tracks. So yeah, very straightforward track about a bad girl that he wants to have sex with all night long. That's what I get from this track. So
Exactly. You
yeah,
know, that's
pretty
all.
awesome. Yep.
But yeah, great rocking tune, great dirty bluesy hard rocking riffing going on here again.
Yep.
And that's one thing about this album. A lot of people say that ZZ Top kind of sold out with this record. I don't
That's
hear that
bullshit.
at all.
No, no,
This is
I don't
still a
either.
very yeah. I mean, yeah, there's definitely that '80s influence. Don't get me wrong, but it's still very hard rocking. You know,
Yeah, I think it's their heaviest album in my opinion. I really do.
you could be right. I mean, you could easily be right about that. Definitely,
That's
it
just
is.
my opinion.
Yeah,
So
totally. It's definitely a rocking album still. You know, and I definitely think it's more upbeat than the album that preceded it, which was El Loco. That was the album before
okay,
it.
yep, I remember that one
Yeah,
too.
this album's definitely much harder rocking, and it's
Yeah,
definitely heavier. And it's definitely heavier than the album that would come after that, Afterburner, where
yeah,
they did.
that one was a
Yeah,
lot more like big rock sounding, a little bit of pop rock in there, and then of course it was more bluesy too. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, I think this is a great classic. Happy early 40th birthday to this album,
Yes.
as we said earlier, turns 40 years old here in a couple days.
Yep.
I think the album
Yeah.
gets a 10 out of 10.
Me too. 10 out of 10. And rest in peace, Dusty Hill. You will be
Yep,
missed forever.
yep,
One of the best
rest to great
one of the best
Dusty.
songwriters of all time. Absolutely.
Yep. One of the best songwriters, best bass players, and best
Yep.
vocalist.
Yeah.
Easily. And also rest in peace to producer Bill Ham, who
Oh,
produced a lot of their
oh
albums.
yeah, he passed away too. I'm not sure. I didn't. I forgot about that.
I think
Oops.
it was in 2016 he passed away.
Yeah, would have been a while ago. I know he died. I just didn't know when.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, he produced a good chunk of their albums, going all the way back to the first album. So yeah, 10 out of 10. That's my verdict. I just think it's a
Yep.
great album.
Mine too. 10 out of 10, man. Go out and get it. If you don't have it, I mean, it's pretty easy to find. I don't know
Yep.
how. Now I got a first pressing of the cassette. I don't know how easy this version is to find anymore, but this is Warner Brothers 83.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if you could still get the first pressing of the cassette, but it shouldn't be that hard to find, guys. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. This is a fucking great album from ZZ Top. Love it.
And another way you can get the album too, which I want to get this. They actually put out a box set. Oh, it came out quite a few years ago, but it's like one of them box sets that comes with
Right.
it comes with their first 10 albums.
Oh wow.
And it's priced very cheap. It's not that expensive. I'm thinking about picking it up
Yeah, man, that would be sick.
eventually. Yep. So yeah, excellent classic.
Yep.
So what do we got coming up next? We were talking about,
Do you want to do Seven Churches from Possessed?
yeah, that's it. We were gonna do Possessed.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
gonna do some. We're gonna do Possessed Seven Churches for you maniacs next, because that is one of the best early extreme metal albums ever made.
I absolutely agree. It's such a classic.
So we got
Such a
that one coming up for you. I'm actually gonna be away next Monday, Ben. So we'll have to do it 2 weeks from yesterday.
all right. That's fine.
Yep,
So yeah, in 2 weeks we will be back with you for Brothers from Hell
we
on
will.
Mondays. So yeah,
All right,
thanks to
man.
everybody out there who joined in tonight. I did not get a chance to look at the comments section, so I
Just some
guess we can
people
take a look
chatting
at that
about
real
the
quick.
album and talking about the riffing and all that stuff.
All right, cool.
Yep.
So we got Oyster fan and Me Metal Mike who joined in. Cool. Anybody else?
Janelle was here too. Paul DeVito's here.
Oh, cool.
Paul's here. Janelle's here. Bullet's here. What's up, Bullets? Sorry about that, guys. I don't like looking down on my phone too much when we're doing a review. It's just kind of unprofessional. I'd rather look at the comments after.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely stay tuned in 2 weeks for Possessed Seven Churches.
It's gonna be fucking epic.
This is our review for ZZ Top's Eliminator. Classic, and this album's going to sound good 100 years from later. I guarantee
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for this review. We will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Hails, everybody. Cheers.
Keep it metal, bang them heads. Go subscribe to Music of Destruction while you're at it, and go subscribe to my Metal Benz Chronicles channel.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
be back on there in a couple days. All right, guys.